Okay, today we're going to clean out a dual valve which controls the temperature of the water coming into your car for heating, air conditioning, for your climate control. There's a little electrical connector. One of the first things you can do to check your dual valve to make sure it's working electrically anyway is to, while the car is running, the climate control's on in any position, just plug and unplug the electrical connector here, and you'll hear the clicking of the solenoids in the dual valve. Opening and closing, basically you hear that. You know the dual valve is good. It's probably, if you're getting a dual valve code, I think it's 416, 417 on your climate control. If you're getting a dual valve code, it could be that they're either not opening fully, closing fully, or they're gummed up a little bit if you haven't flushed your cooling system or cleaned your cooling system, or it's just, they just be gummed up. Anyway, so what I'm doing today is just going to clean out a dual valve. This one doesn't need it, it's fine, but I'm going to show you how to do it anyway. Electrical connector unplugged, T5 screwdriver, Torx bit, and there's 5 little screws on it. There's one back in the middle, and then 2 on the, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to unscrew those. I've got most of them unscrewed right now. You are going to lose a little bit of coolant doing this, so it's a good time to do it when you're actually changing your coolant, but anyway, I'm not going to lose too much, so I will get all those 5 out and I'll be back in a second. Okay, we got all 5 screws out. Now carefully, these are barely connected. These are 2 little electromagnetic, they're solenoids, which means it's basically just an electromagnetic switch that pulls there's a plunger inside. Anyway, we're going to gently lift these 2 up. I'm going to try and do it around the camera. Carefully, there's a spring and a plunger inside, you don't want to lose them. So, carefully lift them up, and you don't want to... Did they stay in place? Yes, they did. So there's the 2 little plungers, and here is the inside of the actuators, which are good. They're cleaned out. There's probably not going to be anything wrong here. So anyway, I'm going to put this aside and we'll be back in 1 minute. Okay, so we got the solenoid actuator assembly off and placed it aside. It's absolutely fine. Here's the these little valves that are inside, the little valves that pull up and down, the little spring. There's a spring on them. Make sure you don't lose the spring right there. And we're going to clean these off before we put them in, because they can get a little sticky and gunky. See, there's a little chunk of gunk there on the side. But anyway, we're going to clean those up before we put them in. There's 2 of those, and like I said, put them aside carefully. Make sure you don't lose the spring. And now, there's different models of the dual valve, different versions, but they're all basically essentially the same. So we're going to pop up the metal plate, and that's holding the little, there's little valves underneath that are actuated by those little spring plungers there that we just pulled out. So we're going to slip a screwdriver in, and that's actually easier than I was figuring it was going to be, and gently lift this out again, because we're working inside the car. We haven't taken this out because we're too damn lazy. I didn't want to unhook the water hoses. It's just a bitch to hook them up back in there. You can do this with it in the car. So we're going to lift this assembly out, and be careful because there's 2 plungers in there. We don't want them to stick to anything and drop out. And they're staying where they are. Okay. So here's the inside of this is the seal, the gasket and seal up here. This is where the little plunger arms go through. And you can see down in there, put this aside, there are 2 little plungers with a shaft on them. Now in here can get gummed up, inside of there can get gummed up if the car hasn't been maintained. I mean, it's a small choked off little spot, so if there's any crap in the radiator and stuff, it's going to end up sticking in there. So we're going to pull the 2 little valves out, and bingo, no water loss, nothing at all. So we've got the 2 little valves, and since mine's not dirty, there's nothing I can show you about cleaning it out. You would, basically just flush it in and out here, and make sure these valves can move in and out. lubricate them with some coolant before you put them back in. Dead simple. Reassembly is the same. Sometimes if one of these little shafts is broken or something is broken, then you're going to have to replace the valve. But if you just want heat, if your concern is heat, your car has no heat, you can't afford a dual valve at the moment, pull those little plungers out, put everything back together. That will just make sure the heat is constantly running into the car. You know, if it's winter time and you had no other option, that's something you could do. We're just going to reassemble this because, like I said, mine's all working perfectly. I'm just going to clean off these plungers, the little actuators, and lube them a tiny little bit and put them back in. I can just lube them with some, I don't know what you could lube them with. I don't even know if I should even bother lubing them. I mean, there's nothing. Coolant would probably be the best thing on the little shaft. Maybe a drop of mineral oil on the shaft where it goes through from the top. But, you know, basically, the way these work is they go down in between and they push up and down on these little. Let me pull this out. They just pull the little pin, the little plunger up and down, allowing coolant to flow from here back into your heater core and back. That's about it. I mean, there's nothing else to it. They're pretty simple little operation. If it's clicking, like I said, if it's clicking when you're plugging and unplugging it, then you know the solenoids are working. If all the little parts here are not broken, then everything's probably pretty good. Anyway, clean it out, and that's about it. That's all I can tell you. I'm just going to put it back together because there's nothing wrong with this one. Thanks for watching. Okay, valves back together. Oh, I didn't plug the electrical connector back there. Come on. Got small hands, and this is a bitch to get into. Well, easier to go that way. What is going on? Okay, and the last step is to start the car and make sure there's no leaks. So I'll start it and you can watch. Have no leaks. Actually, you know what? I'm going to turn the ignition off. Hold on one second. Let's see if you can hear that dual valve clicking. The car's off, but the ignition is on. You hear that? That's the dual valve clicking. So if you hear those clicking, you basically know electrically you're good, and there's probably something clogging the hoses. Thanks for watching.